Hi, Libra. Welcome to your 2022 year ahead forecast. So what I'm going to be covering in this forecast for you is just where the sun and the nodes are going to be, the eclipses, and then go through all the planetary retrogrades and whatnot. And I'm not going to be going over aspects or anything like that, just because I plan on doing something special next year and going over the the energy of the month ahead every month, maybe a week or two before the actual month hits. I will be going over the energy of the following month and go into that into detail. So I will share my screen and we can get started here on your forecast. So welcome, and here we go. So there's a big energy shift that's happening, right? So we're going from eclipses in your 9th and your 3rd to your 8th and your 2nd. And so what this means is that there's going to be faded new directions that are happening in terms of joint finances, other people's money, debt, inheritance, taxes, insurances, money for loans, things like that. And so there's going to be faded new karmic directions with that. And so to start off the year, though, we do have some really interesting energy in your 4th house with this new moon in Capricorn. And I'm talking about this new moon in Capricorn as kind of an offshoot of where the eclipses are going to be happening, just because of this whole singularity point, as I'm dubbing it. I dub it the singularity point from January of 2020, when Pluto, the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn were all together at this one specific point of 22 degrees of Capricorn. So think back to pre-COVID, what was going on for you? What was happening for you in January of 2020 that can now, as we hit this new moon on January 2nd, right out of the gate, with Venus retrograding at this specific point, and this new moon happening at 12 degrees. So there's something, a new development or a new, version of whatever was happening for you is happening now. And, in January. And so that being said, this is in your 4th house of home, family, property, your parents, your ancestry, where you come from, your physical dwelling, right? So, there is definitely something going on here. There's a new moon, which means letting go of something old and seeding intentions for something new. So I just want to bring that to your attention and let you know that, because Venus rules you. You are a Libra ascendant, sun or moon, right? Mostly ascendant is what I like to look at, because it sets the houses up very nicely and things generally work out that way. But Venus is retrograding in your 4th house. And so what this can mean is that there is definitely going to be, especially at this 22 degree point where all those planets were in January of 2020, there's going to be a revisit, and you are going to be reevaluating something that happened around then in a different way. So just so you're aware. January 19th, the nodes officially enter Taurus and Scorpio. So we will feel the rumblings. We've already felt the rumblings as of November of 2021 with that full moon partial lunar eclipse at 27 degrees of Taurus. So now that the nodes are entering, it's going to be more emphasized, even more apparent of what changes need to be made in terms of your finances, what you're letting go of in terms of your money, your material possessions, something that you own even, and going forward with something in a joint venture, a joint finance, like I said, other people's money. So that's what's going on. On February 6th through the 16th, we will have an activation, and specifically for the full moon in Leo, we will have another activation at, the tail end on the 16th of that, because The nodes will be activating that eclipse that we had in November of 2021. This is a development of what that eclipse showed up for you. 8th house themes of death, inheritance, taxes, insurances, joint finances, other people's money. So there's definitely some themes here going on, you know, deep psychological healing, even if that's what you're doing, if that's what you're going for, depending on what else you have going on in your chart. And so there's that, and this full moon is highlighting that as well, because it's squaring this point, it's squaring the nodes, activating this sensitized and sensitive point in the chart. So we do have that. And the full moon in Leo is actually highlighting your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, what is your future plans and orientations in life, your humanitarian pursuits. So there's definitely some things going on there. Fulfillment, completion, and finalization and reevaluation of said goals, plans, initiations, and future, you know, future orientation. So then on April 30th, we do have a partial solar eclipse at 10 degrees of Taurus. And so this is something new. This could be a new beginning for money coming in through clients, agreements, and negotiations, or this could be a new beginning for your partner in terms of their finances and their job and what they're doing, how they're making their money, could be very intense. And so it is with Uranus. It will be very wild and very dynamic and very different. And, you know, I just want to put that in there. But this eclipse specifically, the only hard aspects there are conjunctions, which are just a blending of energies. Other than that, there are trines and sextiles. The only caveat is that Pluto is stationing to go retrograde, and Pluto can maximize the intensity at which this partial solar eclipse in Taurus is manifesting for you. So Pluto is stationing to go retrograde close to this time. So this partial solar eclipse in your 8th house is definitely going to be intense. And because it is your 8th house and Pluto is stationing, you know, Pluto has similar associations to the 8th house, but here for you, you know, this is definitely a change going on in terms of your partnerships and the money that is joint finances, loans, debt, things like that. So new beginnings there, brand new beginnings there. And then we have that total lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So this is in your 2nd house. And this total lunar eclipse is highlighting the south node. It's highlighting what needs to be let go, what needs to fall away, what is dead and gone and needs to just be cut out of your life to begin with in terms of your finances, what it is that you're doing for money, material, and possessions. This could also be letting go of an old value system, but this is squaring Saturn in your 5th house, right? So Saturn can probably be making things feel like they're not so fun. It can make the fun, the joy, the play, the romance feel a little what's the word I'm looking for? Feel a little burdensome, feel a little oppressed, feel a little squeezed out. So just be aware of that. But Mercury is also in your 9th house. It is retrograde in Gemini. Venus, your chart ruler, you know, and where the sun is at this point in May. So the dispositor of the sun is in Aries conjunct Chiron. So there could be some themes for you around wounding in relationship, uncomfortability, you know, things like that. There's also Mars with Neptune, which rules Mars rules your 7th house of relationships. And it also rules your 2nd house of how it is that you make your money. And it's in your 6th house of daily routines, health, wellness. And it's also with Pisces. So this could just be very careful you know, with that Mars conjunct Neptune in Pisces, you know, with your own health, with your own wellness, with your own vitality. And also, you know, this is also our colleagues, our coworkers, employees, if we have any. So just be aware of that energy and aware that things might not be what they seem, and there might be, you know, there might be some hard feelings there. And especially with this lunar eclipse, there's definitely a big letting go that's happening, with, you know, something to do with how it is that you're making your money. There's a finalization and a reevaluation of something. And then we do have a partial solar eclipse in Scorpio in your second house, on October 25th of, you know, it's a new moon on steroids. So new moons are letting go of the old and seeding our intent for new beginnings in this area of our lives. So you could be, because this is with the South Node specifically, this could be something that you used to do in the past to make money coming back in a different way, or you utilizing a skill that you had to make money, using it to, you know, bring it back and make money this way. So there is something going on there. November 8th, we do have the final eclipse of the year, and it is a total lunar eclipse again at 15 degrees of Taurus. So again, this is in your 8th house. It is with Uranus. It is squaring Saturn, and Mars, you know, this time is the dispositor of the sun, is retrograde in Gemini, which is your 9th house of, you know, travel, worldview, publishing, teaching, education, things like that. So with this total lunar eclipse in Taurus in your 8th house, this is a fulfillment, a completion, and a finalization, as well as a reevaluation of joint finances, something going on there. And since it's with Uranus, I mean, you know, maybe there's something going on with your boyfriend, if you have a boyfriend, or if you have children, maybe there's something going on with children as well. So maybe there's a change happening in your child's life that comes unexpectedly and out of the blue. And, you know, Mars is retrograde in Gemini, kind of hashing over, you know, some things there in your 9th house of how it is that you frame reality, education, travel, things like that. So if you're making travel plans, I would kind of steer clear of the end of the year and try to do it at some other time. And then we have Mercury. So Mercury is, you know, going retrograde. It's going retrograde 4 times this year. So we will have the beginnings and endings of 3 full Mercury retrogrades, and then start another retrograde, and it will complete in 2023. So to start this year off with, it is retrograding in your 1st, your 5th, and your 9th house, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because, you know, this is Mercury retrograde in your sign would be you reevaluating yourself, or you having to redo something physically. 9th and 5th house, I mean, this is in trine with your ascendant and in sextile with your descendant. So it's more of relational energy, but it's hitting your chart in a nicer way than others, because it is in trine to your ascendant, 2 of them anyway. So we're going to start in the air signs and move back into the earth signs. And what this means for you specifically, well, in general, what this means is that there's 2 areas of our life that Mercury is reevaluating. And so it could be that there is a connection between these 2 areas that are being reevaluated. So to start the year, January 14th, Mercury will be going retrograde at 10 degrees of Aquarius and retrograding back to 24 degrees of Capricorn. And what this could be is that this starts off with children. If you have any fun, play, joy, things like that are being reevaluated here in the 5th house for you. And then it will retrograde back into your 4th house of home, family, property, your place of living, your dwelling, your parents, right? So there could definitely be some themes surrounding something going on with a child in your life, and maybe where they're living specifically. So just so you're aware of that. Or this could be maybe a hobby that you are deciding that, you know what, you're going to set up a shop in your home and you're going to do this hobby thing in your home that you love to do, or maybe there's a new hobby that you want to do something with. You know, this could be a romantic liaison, a lover, sexual partner too, that maybe you decide you want to take it to the next level and you bring them to stay in the home. It could be something like that too. Just giving you all different options. And then in May, there will be a retrograde in Gemini and Taurus. So we're going to start out in the 9th house. So this is how we're framing our reality, the 9th house. This is travel. This is foreigners to us, you know, people. This could be higher institutions, like educational institutions, like colleges, universities, things like that. And then it will dip back into your 8th house of joint finances. So maybe there's something going on here in terms of you decide that you want to go back to school for something, and you need to maybe check in with your spouse, check in with your partner, or maybe you need to check to see if the funds are actually there. There's something going on here with these 2 houses, with Mercury going retrograde, you know, in Gemini and in Taurus for you, about maybe shifting your worldview or going back for an education of some point, but needing to go over joint finances, or needing to go over maybe something that's really uncomfortable psychologically. Or maybe, you know, maybe for some Libra risings, if you're at the age of going to college, maybe you're rethinking your major and you're deciding, you know, you want to go for something else. It could be something like that, maybe psychology or something, or esoterics or things like that. So there's a reframe that's happening with your worldview, and even maybe occult practices. Maybe you have a, maybe you decide that you want to change up your altar, or you want to practice a different form of craft, or you want to study astrology, or you want to do something of that nature, right? So that's the 9th and the 8th house. And then September, oh, and another thing, it could be also wanting to do something, wanting to travel, but then there's limitations because of power and control issues with the 8th house, right? So that can be seen as well. And then in September, Mercury is going retrograde in your 1st house, and it will retrograde back into your 12th house. And so what this means for you specifically, Libra, sorry, my nose itch, is that you yourself are reevaluating your spiritual practice. You yourself are reevaluating how it is that you go about escaping from the mundane reality of everyday life and pulling yourself out of the humdrum of every day and going behind the scenes for rest, reprieve, relaxation, pulling away from the world, ashrams, retreat centers, hospitals, you know, yoga centers, things like that. So there's definitely reevaluation of your spiritual practice, or even maybe a health condition that's kind of filtered through too, because it is Virgo. But I would say more spiritual practice in most instances. And then in December, we do have the final retrograde of the year, and this is happening at 24 degrees of Capricorn. It is stationing to go retrograde, where it's stationed to go direct in January of 2022. So that means there's something with this 24-degree mark, and we have to look back to 2021 when Pluto stationed at this degree as well. So there's definitely something to do with this 24-degree of Capricorn that is really needing revision, revitalization, re-editing, redoing. And so we will start that evaluation, restart that evaluation process literally, you know, on January or in February, and then again in December. So just so you're aware of that as well. And then we have Venus and Mars retrogrades. They are bookending the year. Venus starts her retrograde in December of 2021, and Mars ends his retrograde in January of 2023. So at least they're not going retrograde together, but they are going retrograde in the same year. And so what this means for you specifically is that this is your chart ruler. Venus rules you. Venus rules your 8th house of joint finances. So Venus going retrograde here at the end of December and into January, this could be a reevaluation of you reevaluating, right, your relationship to people in the home, or what's going on the home front, as well as what's going on maybe with joint monies for a property that you own. So just so you're aware, that could be what's going on. And then Mars going retrograde. Mars is going retrograde on October 30th at 25 degrees of Gemini, going all the way back to 8 degrees of Gemini, and stationing to go direct on January 12th of 2023. And so what this could be, because we have to remember in 2020, Venus went retrograde over these same degrees. In 2021, Mercury went retrograde over these same degrees, and now Mars is going retrograde over these same degrees. So this is your worldview, how you frame reality, the things that you believe to be right, true, and just in the world. And we have Mars going retrograde here. So Mars going retrograde here could see you being very fired up. It is in trine with your ascendant. So what this could see you being very fired up and really passionate about a stance that you have on how you see the world, on what it is that you're doing, on education, on travel, on moving. Maybe you want to move, and this is reevaluating that. Mars also rules your second house, and it also rules your seventh house. So what this could mean is that you could be reevaluating what is going on with how you see the reality around you, and how you see your partnerships, and how you see your money. And there's a reevaluation that's happening to understand, what to do going forward, because Mars, Mars in trine with your ascendant is a great thing when it, even in retrograde. It's not that bad. I've gone through it because I'm a Leo ascendant, and when Mars went retrograde in Aries, that's my 9th house, there wasn't any real issues with that. I'm just going to let you know that. So, Mars retrograde in the 9th house is not the be all end all of crazy retrogrades at all. So just so you're aware, it just depends on how the rest of your chart is set up. But what I found interesting is that on February 14th of all days, so happy Valentine's Day on this day, great day to have Valentine's Day, with Venus and Mars coming conjunct at 14 degrees of Capricorn. And so these two are coming together on the home front. So what I'm wondering is what's going on here. Venus has just turned direct and started moving forward, and Mars catches up to her in your 4th house. This is your chart ruler, your 8th house ruler, your 2nd house ruler, and your 7th house ruler joined in the 4th house. So this could definitely be something going on, you and a partner coming together to really decide what's going on with home, with property, with family, even with your parents, or maybe both of your parents, right? But this could definitely see you either purchasing or selling a property, with these two coming conjunct like this, or seeing money needing to be spent on a property that you own jointly, or something just going on with the home itself. So just so you're aware of that. They do enter Aquarius together. So this is a different iteration of that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that happened in December of 2020 with Mars and Venus here. This is your 5th house. This is fun, play, joy, romance, sex, children, right? So with Venus and Mars here, this could be you and a partner, coming together for a child, or coming together for being really fired up and really passionate, in the bedroom, right? That could happen too. Or this could also be you getting really passionate about a hobby that you want to take to that next level. Okay, so there is that. And then we have Jupiter. So Jupiter is entering Pisces. Jupiter is going to be in your 6th house. So if you remember back to, if you remember back to the end of spring and beginning of summer, when Jupiter ingressed into Pisces, went retrograde, and then came back out, whatever themes came up for you around that time in 2021, May through July, then what's going on is going to be expanded upon. That little taste of something is now being expanded upon. So this could have to do with your work, your daily routines, what you're doing every single day, your colleagues, your employees, your health, your wellness, your well-being, your mental attitude, your mental outlook. And so with Jupiter here, this is expanding on whatever it's touching. So if you had a really positive experience with this, Jupiter is also refreshing this sign for you, because Jupiter is a traditional ruler of Pisces, and it will come conjunct Neptune exact on April 12th at 23 degrees of Pisces. So this is definitely, you know, going to be, it's going to be very, I want to say cathartic for you. I don't know why that word came to mind, but this could be very cathartic for you in the sense of maybe, you know, depending on where your other placements are and everything, this could be, yeah, this could be maybe getting to the bottom of and understanding a health issue, or, you know, this could be, taking up a spiritual practice every single day, because, you know, Pisces is very spiritual. Neptune and Jupiter very spiritual in Pisces too. So this could definitely see, you know, very spiritual, highly spiritual oriented practices, you know, depending on what else you have going on. But I see this as a positive for the most part for people. And then we're going to have, you know, Jupiter ingressing into Aries, getting all the way to 8 degrees of Aries by July 28th when it stations to go retrograde. Excuse me. So whatever it is that you're working on every single day could lead into something going on in partnership, or partnerships being expanded upon, expanded upon and grown during this little bit from May to July. And there's a reevaluation that's going on with that exponential growth that happened from July to October when Jupiter, you know, stations to go direct in Pisces. And so, or sorry, November when it goes direct in Pisces. But there's definitely a reevaluation of what it is that you're doing in partnership and what it is you're doing every single day. So maybe you decided that you were going to work really, really hard on a business or on what it is that you're doing for work, and it just blew up when Jupiter hit your when Jupiter hits your 7th house. And then you're going to have to kind of like reel it back in when Jupiter goes retrograde and understand, okay, well, I understand this now. And so now let's reevaluate this little bit, these last 2 degrees of Pisces. Let's reevaluate what it is that I need to change doing every single day to be able to maintain this momentum. There is that. And then Saturn. So Saturn is in your 5th house. And so, you know, Saturn has been squeezing the joy out of your 5th house for a little while now. But, yeah, what am I saying here? Sorry, Libra, I got a little distracted. My brain went off in a different direction. So yeah, Saturn. So, you know, Saturn is squeezing the life out of this 5th house. It is kind of, you know, taking the joy of what's going on here in the 5th house and making it feel more, maybe not burdensome, but more heavy, more limiting, more, you know, nose to the grindstone kind of energy, instead of the fun and play that it could be if Saturn were not here. So Saturn will start the year off coming off the square to Uranus. And it's also, you know, it's going to be tough, right? So at the end of 2021, Saturn and Uranus have done their final square off. They're done their final, the word I'm looking for, their final standoff, their final square. So whatever was happening for you in terms of your 5th house and your 8th house, that came to a boiling head at the end of 2020. And like the resolution point almost. But now Saturn is still active with Uranus. They're still really tight together in that square, but it's moving on. So by the end of January, beginning of February, Saturn will have moved on enough that it's going to wind down, right? Jupiter, I keep going back to Jupiter. I'm really excited about Jupiter for you, Libra. So Saturn will get to 25 degrees of Aquarius. So if you have your sun, moon, or ascendant in Libra anywhere from 11 to 25 degrees, Saturn is going to be trining you, which means you yourself are going to be more diligent. You yourself are going to express as more, what's the word I'm looking for? More refined, right? More stoic in a way, more diligent and dutiful in what it is that you're doing and how you're showing up in terms of your expressive self. So this could see you, especially if you're anywhere from 11 to 25, but especially that 18 to 25 degrees, it could see you really honing in and getting very practical about a hobby and or a child if you have any, or a romantic partner, and it gets really serious. And so that could be, but it could also be how you're expressing yourself. And maybe you're getting very serious with how you're expressing yourself. You're growing, you're growing into another level depending on what else is going into your chart. What else is going on in your chart as well, specifically. And then we have Uranus. So Uranus is wreaking havoc in your joint finances. Your Uranus is bringing wild, crazy insights into, and I'm sorry, it's in Taurus. I know I see Aquarius written here twice, and that's all on me because I'm a one-man show, or one-woman show. So it is in Taurus, and so it is wreaking havoc in that 8th house. And so this could see you, this could see it shaking out of any stuck, stagnant ways of being kind of in a rut in terms of your mental fears and your mental, your deep-seated psychological things that you have, traumas and wounds and things like that, because the 8th house does have that association. In a mundane sense, yes, it can be that too, but it can also be maybe there's something going on in terms of your partner's resources or debt, inheritance, taxes, insurances, things like that. And Uranus has been really kind of on again, off again, wreaking havoc. Maybe your partner is, if you have one, is losing a job, or if you have clients, maybe they're on again, off again clients. And so the income through clients is not steady, or the income through a partner is not steady. And so there's definitely transforming with Uranus too, but it's in a very disruptive way, and it's kind of jarring, right? So definitely anywhere from 10 to 18 degrees. If you have any planets or points in the fixed signs, it's going to affect you even more so here. So just so you're aware of that. And then for Neptune, it is in your 6th house of, daily routines, mental health, physical well-being, day-to-day work, coworkers, employees, things like that. And the children are home, just so you're aware. So, yep. Hi, buddy. Yeah. Okay. I'm recording, so I got to get through this. I'm almost done. So sorry, it's very disruptive. Yeah, see, we were just talking about Uranus and being disruptive, right? And so for Neptune is in your 6th house. It is going from 20 to 25 degrees. And so it will be, it will be going retrograde from 25 to 22 degrees. So really those degrees, it's going to go back over. And so, if this could be a health concern, this could be, like a job or something you're doing every single day. Like I said earlier, with Jupiter and Neptune coming together, this could be highly spiritual for you, but this could also be kind of fogging up what's going on every single day, or maybe some type of weird kind of health condition or health issues. If it's not that, it could be maybe every single day you're devoting yourself to a spiritual practice. I mean, that's not unheard of with Pisces being the 6th house. So just so you're aware. And then Pluto. So Pluto is in your 4th house. It's been in your 4th house since 2008, and we're getting close to the end of Pluto being in Capricorn. So what's going on here is that from January through to April, Pluto will be going from 25 to 28 degrees of Capricorn. And so what this can be doing is this can be going over the last degrees. If you have any, if your ascendant, you know, sun or moon is anywhere from 25 to 28 degrees, you're really going to be feeling this square. If your midheaven and IC, you know, if all 4 points line up correctly, you know, this could be very intense, but very transformative on the home front at that very deep core level of who you are and where you come from. And it could also be very transformative in terms of the properties that you own, right? So there is that as well. So that's what I have for you. And so I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and I do hope that you'll stick around and see what else is going on at apogee of the moon. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful year.